Well, good, miserable, and rainy, and God knows behind Wednesday afternoon. It is 7:17. The date is who knows what because I've yet again forgotten to stop the workout. And Fitbit is going to give me some extra credit. Oh, it's August the 8th. It's my freaking birthday. And I don't know. That's the ADD talking right there. So August 8th. And let's start with that. Look what was waiting for me on my recording podium as I showed up to set this up. Happy 4321 birthday from my wife. And my wife, not one for gushy words, kind of the same way I am. And I'm going to read this, and she's going to shoot me for it. And I'm going to try and run through this because, as you saw last week, Nikon has decided to Nikon has decided to limited my work. So we're going to have to work around that. And I've already started out the cast by saying 100,000 times, which I said I was going to stop. I'm going to start now. My wife writes, "My heart, husband, and mate, you have my love and respect for who you are and what you do. I don't tell you often enough. Who'd have thought? Me at a loss for words. Winky face." She's so going to shoot me. "I'm not an artist at all, but sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. Mine maybe 500. I want you to know that even during this busy season, we can lean on each other and the even greater strength available to us. Your daily life provides a great example of manhood for our family. Never forget the value of what your deeds and actions provide. I would give you a hug right now, but the words will need to suffice with a hug coming soon." She's not in the house at the moment. I came home to an empty house, as I do every Wednesday, for recording. "The discipline and dedication you have been putting forth in so many areas has not gone unnoticed. I admire your insight and perseverance to do such a thing. With heartfelt respect and love, me." And then she's done some artwork over there, which is actually pretty cool. Made an acronym from my name, Greg, which, by the way, I have gone by most of my life until very recently. Thank you, baby. I love you. And that is a good woman right there. I'm going to try and hurry through this in less than 20 minutes. Yes, it is my 43rd birthday today. I can't believe I didn't put anything about that, but our family never really made a big deal out of birthdays, so I guess it's just one of those things. About my rant on Nikon last week, I kind of feel like it is a little bit like when Top Gear reviewed the Porsche Boxster a while back. If you haven't heard that, you go check that out. Jeremy Clarkson absolutely excoriated the Boxster a while back for building a car purposefully, purposefully derated, I guess, to fill in a niche area. It feels like the Boxster could have actually beat the 911 around the track, but due to wanting to put it inside of financial range rather than building the best car they could possibly build, they came up with the Boxster. I don't remember what year it was. I'll have to find a link and put that in there, but it's kind of like that. Nikon has done something very similar with this Nikon 3500D. It feels like they've removed features for the sole purpose of fitting a camera into that Boxster sort of price range, I guess. Intentionally derating a camera that was fantastic and is still a great camera. As you can see, the picture's great. Not counting the subject matter it has to look at, but it takes a great picture, and that's really all it does, when it could do so much more. And that's really all I'm going to say about that, other than it makes it impossible to do any sort of really meaningful video work without more gear, which will not, in this case, be Nikon, I can guarantee you. So anyway, I won't say any more about that. I will move on because I'm trying not to hold a grudge. All right, so this week, work at the university has absolutely sucked and is single-handedly responsible, I believe, for removing enough time from my schedule not to make me fail, but to make failing a whole hell of a lot easier than it would have been otherwise. Without further ado, I will go into what I did say last week I wanted to do, which is For this cast, I remember, and I'll get to this more at the end, but for this cast and for my personal goals for the business, for the homestead. What were those goals? Long story short, I don't know. Why don't I know? Well, because I have not yet finished editing the previous cast. I haven't listened to my own recording, so I'm not going to really be very good at telling you whether or not I've accomplished much of anything this week. My suspicion is no, and I'll get to, some of the stuff that did work here in just a minute, but don't have a clue what my goals were for the last week. If that tells you what kind of week I've been having. It's it's fee payment week this week, and classes are starting for the busiest semester of the year, so there's really that. Working in financial aid, it kind of makes your week pretty much set for you. I did want to cover a little bit more about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADD, ADHD, because I did a really crappy job last week about explaining that talk with Nathan, my resident thinker. I just kind of glossed over it, and I should have done that. That talk actually stemmed from my being sort of anti-med in general, and it turns out he agreed with me there. And he's the one that came up with it's like the X-Men thing. You remember when the X-Men came up with this serum that actually made them like normal humans? It's kind of like that. And what that does, I really believe, and some of you that are currently on medications, you maybe you're happier that way, and God bless you if you are. But there are some downsides to that, and I just wanted to let you know about those. Some of these I've experienced myself, and some of them I've read about and completely wholeheartedly agree with, because there are really some upsides to having this condition occasionally. I'll go through some of them here. The first one being focus. And when I say focus, that is supposed to be like the antithesis of ADHD, but in reality, when we're in the zone, guys, we are in the zone. We can become subject matter experts on things that we really want to learn about within a few days and bore everyone around us to tears with it. You might think that's a disadvantage, but at a place of work, if you can find something that lights our fire, man, it's a beautiful thing to watch. And that leads me to the second thing, which is creativity. We take that knowledge that we gain and we apply it very, very creatively in sideways directions that you wouldn't see and I'm not saying this disparagingly, but with a normie brain, you wouldn't see it. I've gotten jobs just for that ability. The ability to cope with stress, that's a big one for me. I read about this. It's an upside, but it's also a downside. It's an upside in that you forget about pain that you experience, kind of like an Alzheimer's patient, if you want to put it that way. You get hurt, you get past the hurt. Next week, you're ready to go again. Is that an upside or is that a downside? I can't tell you that, because it's both. It lets you trust and try things that have previously hurt you again in a different way most of the time, because you don't forget that it went horribly wrong, but you do forget how bad it was. And that can also lead you to, if you forget enough, to repeat a lot of the same mistakes that you've made in the past. And God knows I have done that more times than I would like to admit, and I'm not going to get into that today, but it has happened. Couple here added from a great article over at www.hadd.ie, hadd.ie. I'll put the link in the description afterwards. I read that article, and there was some really good points made, and I will just read them directly because they were that good. When it comes to crisis handling, you can't do much better than an Addy. We do a pretty fair job of staying in the moment, and because of that, it's kind of our bailiwick. We thrive on excitement, and they put it into more technical terms here. And I'll just read. I was about to read about the crisis handling ability of ADHD, and I lost that entire section, but I'll just jump right into it here. Research shows that those with ADHD have more theta brain waves. These are the signals produced by the brain as it goes into sleep mode. Generally, a crisis will snap those without ADHD into a brain overload condition, but the ADHD brain instead moves to a more normal mode. So from scattered to snapped into focus, I guess. Renan. Thus, when others are in crisis, those with ADHD can be cool, calm, and under control. I have experience with that I'll probably talk about at some point in the future. Another thing they mentioned is a strong intuition, another thing that I have some experience with in the past. I used to ignore it. I don't anymore. Again, stories for a later time. The article states that normal brains perform a great job of filtering sensory information. This helps improve our personal signal-to-noise ratio and makes sense of the world. The ADHD brain can be overwhelmed with sensory information and struggle with executive functioning tasks that help manage the overload. But those with ADHD are often able to notice things that others naturally filter out, which is why many of them will swear they are intuitive, almost psychic, at picking up certain things. They are, in fact, detecting many things others will miss. So a couple of great points in that article, which I will link. Excuse me. So I'm going to move right on. I'm not going to dwell on the ADHD thing today. I think I did a fair job of that last week. Let's get right into the goals for next week. And I'll start as I always start with this cast. The first of which is improving the production quality on these videos. I'm going to start adding, I hope, a little more B-roll and inserting some effects where it's appropriate. I did find out a problem with the adding of video last week and that my internet really sucks. Thank you, Windstream, for not being able to get that last mile right and limiting me to, somewhere between 3 and 6 meg with, God knows what the upload speed is, but to upload a 30-minute video or whatever it was, it took the better part of the night, so I'm going to have to find a way around that, probably with compression. I don't know. Anyway, I want to save some upload time so that saves me some stress of having to keep a computer running all night when I really don't want to. As for myself, I want to get back to running. I had an Achilles heel injury last week, and it really has jacked me up really good. Justin the Monster Truck leaving me in the dust here because he had the good sense to not kill himself by trying to change his stride into something unnatural and snapping his Achilles tendon out of whack. I don't know what I did, but I can still feel it. It's been over a week now. That's my personal goal there for, for fitness. As far as the business, I got 2 quotes to get out, and again, I want to finish the login module of MySP. I got closer, but I didn't get it done. So as far as that, I can confidently say that goal failed. And last but not least, the homestead. That priority has been made for me. I have to put a new roof on top of this house because wind damage has caused a slow leak over there in the corner, which I would show you, but it's quite boring. I got to get a new roof put into place. I think we're going to go from shingles to metal because, quite frankly, we should never have to worry about a roof again should we do that, barring any sort of unfortunate wind event again. And I guess that's really about it. I didn't want to go on too long, number one, because it's my birthday and I got things to celebrate, like being 43 years old today. Thank you. Thank you very much. And 2, I have work to do. So there's always that going on. But thank you for tuning in, if you did, to Round 5, Julian versus the World. Welcome to the fight. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll be back again next week with hopefully a little bit better review than I did this time. Till then, see you. Thanks.